Welcome at this HPE Greenlake introduction session. So in this webinar, I'm going to explain you what is actually HPE Greenlake and what's the whole idea behind it. Why did Antonio Neri mention Greenlake or HPE as a service anyway? And most important, what is the value for you as an HPE partner and your customers? What is the outcome at the end? Probably you know all my previous sessions in the past, so this is live. This is not something pre-recorded or something like that. I'm gonna try to keep it as interactive as possible because still due to the pandemic, we're not allowed to organize physical sessions. I prefer to show this in real life, of course. We still have to do it in this Zoom session. It is like that. But anyway, there is a Q&A, and probably I assume that you know, meanwhile, Zoom, how the platform works. So we activated the Q&A. So if you have any questions whatsoever, I keep on polling the Q&A window. So if you have any question or a remark or something that is not clear, please let me know in the Q&A. Also, at the end of the session, I will provide some time as well for you to send out all the questions to me. And yes, I still see people connecting. Thank you very much for connecting to this Greenlake introduction session. So I'm Bart Jungens. I'm a technical consultant in the HPE team of Tech Data. Me together with my colleagues, we're going to support you and see if there is a match for you with HPE Greenlake. If not, no problem. We still have the good old traditional IT solutions that we can provide you as well to you and your customers. Now, actually, Greenlake, what is Greenlake? So it all started in 2019, so 2 years ago at HPE Discover. So it was the last HPE Discover physically in Las Vegas, because afterwards it also became a virtual event. Antonio Neri, CEO of HPE, was there, and he said, well, HPE will become an SA service company by 2022. And by the way, we're going to call it Greenlake. Well, I was there in the room and I said, huh, Greenlake? So I was looking for green lakes. Well, this is a green lake. That's also a really nice green lake. And even this one is a really nice green lake as well. So I have plenty of pictures for you to present green lake, but there had to be something more than that, of course, behind it. And so these are the numbers, okay? So these are not actually numbers from HPE, but this is really what's happening in the market. And these are numbers from IDC, Forrester, Gartner, all those external analyst companies who see that. And guys, don't worry, good old traditional IT enterprise product spending will stay approximately flat. We still sell a lot of servers and storage and networking gear and so on. So it's not going away. It's not that the cloud will take everything. But what we see in the market indeed is that as a service is growing, is going up. And of course, it's obvious that an HPE and also plenty of other companies say, hey, we want a part of that money. And so it's not only in IT, because I challenge you, plenty of other examples as a service. And that's the first thing when I go together with you or not, when I have a discussion with a customer, I notice that, and this is why we keep on organizing this session, because we know that we have to educate the customers. Not everyone understands what is a service. And now, if you don't understand what is a service, how can you understand what is as a service? Okay, because these are two different things. Let that be clear. Okay, and so today, together with this webinar, it's not the first one, it won't be the last one, where we're going to talk about HPE Greenlake. is that we have to educate the customers. They have to be at a certain level before you understand what is the value, what's the outcome of a service. That's the whole idea. Okay. And so I'm gonna, hey, it's an introduction, okay? Because believe me, there's so much to say as a service. You can't do it in 1 hour because we have to talk business as well. It's not only a technical thing. It's not HPE in the cloud. Let that be clear. Okay, this is not HPE cloud. It's cloud service. But then we have to see what is the cloud anyway. Yeah, and then we have indeed infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. There are so many services today that first step that I need to explain is, yeah, but what is the outcome of a service? Well, let's make a quick comparison with, probably all of you will have this today. If it's not for you, then it's probably for your kids. I can take the example of music with Spotify and video with Netflix. Okay, so I have quite some experience already. I see some, yeah, I see some younger people in the room. I see also some more experienced people as myself in the room. I don't say that I'm old, I just have a lot of experience. But so I know still in the past that at Thursday evening, there was a specific program on TV, and I had to ask my parents to have that VCR video recorder, put a tape in there. Do we still have tapes? Yeah, is there some space on it? So I could record that movie or that television program. And so the day after, because it was on Thursday evening and I had to go to school, I had to go to bed. So on during the weekend, I was able to look at that video tape, that recording. So I had to do it all by myself. Then there were some video chains where you could rent videos. Okay, so you go there, you pay them, how much was it, 100 Belgian francs or something like that, whatever, and then you had for 1, 2, 3 days you had that video, and then you had to return it. Then of course came the internet, and then we could download back again ourselves. We could download in a legal or not so legal way. We could download videos and store it somewhere else. Well, now you know the evolution, of course. Well, today I don't have to take care anymore about which videos that I want, that I can find them, yes or no, that I have to pay once for it, because of course I could go to the store and buy that video, that DVD of that movie, and then I own the video, or I could rent a video on a cassette and on a DVD, and you know how it goes. Well, today that's, I think it's still there somewhere. Maybe there must be somewhere music or video renting store must be there. It's very legacy. But anyway, today everyone knows about Netflix and Spotify. There is so much music on it. Do I need it? No, I don't need it. All that music, that country music, I don't like it. I don't. I want another type of music, maybe. But you don't care because you pay a fixed price per month for a service, for a video or a music service, and then I can use it. Do I use it more or less? No problem. You just pay per month. And apparently people like that because they know in advance how much they will have to pay. I know the service. I know which music is on Spotify. I know which movies are on Disney Plus. Or, because that's the difference, of course. You want to differentiate your service, and that's why there's a difference between Netflix and Disney Plus, and here in Belgium, Streams, and there are probably other Alibaba video services in this world as well. And so you pick your service and you pay that price for that service, and the outcome is very clear. You have videos for children or not so children, or you have that type of music or that, whatever. The outcome is clear, the price is clear, and you choose, you are in control. That's cool, right? Well, that's as a service. And this is where we see that more and more people are putting money in it. And unfortunately, I challenge you, but if I take a look on my Visa bill at the end of the month, well, there are more and more services which are recurring costs on there. But I know in advance, hey, this is what it costs. I have the outcome. So that's my value. Okay, and that's what Antonio Neri has seen as well, where he says, okay, that orange HP is really good in there. It will stay there. Yeah. You in 10 years, you will still be able to buy a ProLiant server with an MSA or a Nimble and some switches and put some VMware on there. Yeah, there are still people buying those vinyl records and play their own music. It's not going away, but there is another market coming as well, and that's the as a service battleground. Now, a battleground is so negative, but anyway, you know what they want to say with this. And by the way, there are plenty of other numbers available. Yeah, so yes, I know that most of the companies are accelerating the innovation towards something, whatever, as a service. Okay, I know a lot of people going to the cloud. Now, watch out. There are also a lot of those companies. I know that there are also quite some companies who are migrating their applications. And by the way, your applications, it's the data that you move to the cloud. Okay, you move your data to the cloud, and then you have the applications on top of it. Well, know that today there are a lot of companies also reverting or coming back from that public cloud environment to a private cloud or an on-premises environment. They keep the experience of as a service, but it's not in a data center from someone else anymore. Now, why is that? Well, it depends of the data. It depends of the application, right? Not every application can be running in a public cloud environment. What is a public cloud environment? Well, it's in a data center far, far away that I don't own, right? And that's a not a problem, but that's a challenge, because it depends of the data and the application. If your application can run with data that is far, far away. Well, I know that still today I have customers who are telling me, hey, hi Bart, nice to meet you. I'm the CIO or the CEO of this company here, and I have a vision, I have a cloud strategy. I said, okay, let's go for it. Okay, give me your Visa, your credit card, and we'll open up all those cloud services at all those hyperscalers. But then if we dive a little bit deeper technically in there, well, we notice that once that data is in that public cloud, that their applications are not built for that public cloud experience. Yeah, I have plenty examples um, of industry where they say that we have a local industry, a mill here that is generating all that data. We're producing things, and with camera, I have one practical example with a production chain in the food industry where there are thousands of chickens on that automatic chain going over, where you have cameras where they are checking the color and the weight of that chicken, and there are thousands of chicken per hour going on that automated chain, and then they have that all that data that must say that's a good chicken, that's a not so good chicken, that's too big, too small, to whatever something, and they have to make decisions. And what happened is that their application was migrated to a public cloud. Well, the network connection to send that data over was the bandwidth was not an issue, but the latency was an issue, because it took too much time before the data was over there in that public cloud. And then they have to do plenty of things, calculations with that data, and then they have to send it back to make a decision. You're a good chicken and you're a bad chicken, right? Well, at that moment, that company, they left some applications in the public cloud, but there are also other applications that were moved back to an on-premises IT solution, right? Why? Because the application wasn't able to handle that latency. Other practical example, yesterday, everyone's mailbox probably is running in Office 365. Well, I challenge you, try to run Office 365 with Outlook 2007 or Outlook 2010. Yeah. Won't work. You will get a lot of alerts with disconnected, connected, disconnected, connected. So that's why you need a more modern version of Outlook, because that version of Outlook today, 2019, or which version is it anyway, but that version is able to work with that, let's say, stable, unstable internet connection, that you have a good experience, that you don't see all those disconnects because you lose some milliseconds of latency on your internet connection, right? So that's an important one. And that's why we see also a lot of companies, not everything, mailboxes they will stay in the public cloud, but other applications, other data, that will be placed back again on premises. And to prove this, if you take a look at the big hype, everyone knows the big hyperscalers, Amazon, Azure, Google, the Alibabas of this world. Well, if you take a look that this is true, that this is actually happening, that private cloud, that hybrid solution, even those hyperscalers, they have seen that. Yeah. And the best example there is, take a look at Amazon Web Services Outpost. What's Outpost? That's the Amazon experience, but on premises. You get a rack with servers running Amazon software. You get the Amazon experience, but on premises. Azure, Microsoft Azure, Azure Stack HCI is Azure experience on premises. Google, the third one, Google Anthos. Google Anthos is Google experience, but on premises, right? Because that's what people like. We need to go to find that hybrid solution, right? Because it gives us the most flexibility for all my workloads. And then if I have that same experience on premises and somewhere far, far away, and I can move my data between those premises here and somewhere else, well, that gives me that hybrid experience, right? Well, that's what we're going to do as well with Greenlake, because what is Greenlake? It is a cloud experience, all the cool things that you might have heard about, pay as a service, grow, flexibility, scalability, and so on. Well, all these things that you had the experience in the public cloud, well, you can do it with Greenlake, okay? The second thing is Greenlake, let it be clear, it's on premises. So if you or your customers go for a Greenlake experience, that means that HPE will be installing a lot of gear, compute, storage, networking, a lot of software, but it will be running on premises in the data center of you or your customer. Or recently they added also co-location. So now HPE can be the co-location provider as well. If the customer says, yeah, sorry, I don't have a data center anymore, but I want to have it really close. Well, even then co-location would be an option as well. But that's the whole idea. You are in control of your gear, of your experience. Okay? You don't see compute, you don't see storage, you don't see networking, you just see an interface where you can run your services. And that's an important thing. When we're gonna present Greenlake one to you and to your customers, at that moment we need to talk about services. And then we'll see in the presentation what is a service, right? It can be, to give you an example already, 50 VMs. Yeah, your customer wants to run 50 VMs. That's an important thing. We're not going to say how many CPU and how many memory and how many gigabyte and so on. No, we just need 50 VMs, and he will pay for 50 VMs. If one day he needs 55 VMs, he will pay for 55 VMs. So we're not going to go to your customer, yeah, but now you need a Simplivity node, or you need a second CPU in a DL380, or maybe your MSA needs more disks in there. No, that's not as a service discussion. Yeah, the customer is paying for 55 VMs or 50 VMs, or maybe one day 67 VMs. But he's paying per VM. He's not paying for the disks or the Simplivity nodes or the CPUs or the DIMMs in that ProLiant server. Yeah, that's all covered by that one price of that service that the customer is taking for. So that's why it's very important when we're going to talk about money. Okay, I'm going to give you some examples about pricing as well, but you will see that the discussion will be completely different. And so this is the biggest challenge that I see is that the language, and if there's something that you need to understand from this session today, is that we need to change the language. Yeah, when we're talking with our customer. And I'll give you some practical examples as well. Yeah, so we're really gonna talk about total cost of ownership. We're gonna talk about return on investment. We're gonna talk about the outcome. Mr. Customer, what's the outcome for you? I'm not going to bother you with CPUs and memory and 3 or 4 or 5 DL380s, because when you go for GreenLake, technically, you can see it somewhere. You will get a bill of material, but you don't have to care if there will be 4 Simplivity nodes or 6 DL380s with a small nimble or a big nimble or whatever. Okay, the hardware behind it is not so important anymore. In the complete flow, yeah, there will be somewhere a bill of material, but you will see when we go take a look. We will go together to the HPE website and take a look at the services available in GreenLake. Well, you will see that it's quite hard to see which gear is behind it. Okay, and so that's what I want to make you aware of in this session, because this one personally really I like. Mr. Customer, why do you have to bring your data to the cloud if we can bring the cloud to you? Okay, I said this already more than 1.5 years ago. Meanwhile, when GreenLake really started completely in the beginning, well, meanwhile, it made it to the slide, the cloud that comes to you. Don't bring your data to the cloud, but let the cloud come to you. And that's the whole idea, because HPE, if you see the strategy of HPE today, it's very clear. Yeah, we are the company that is delivering platform solutions from the edge to the cloud. Everybody knows the cloud. That's the data center. I don't know where it is, but the cloud is a big data center with a co-location, or I am the owner with the hyperscalers behind it. But then you have the edge, and the edge today, by the way, that's another session that we are organizing about the edge, but the edge is where the data is generated. That's most of the time outside your data center. And we have plenty of examples as self-driving cars, cameras supervising train stations or highways. We have a really cool a new example of the edge. A few weeks ago, there was that launch to the ISS space station. Yeah, well, today the ISS space station is an edge of HPE, because there is the space-borne computer. And if you want to know more information about it, just go take a look on my social media, because I have on my blog, on my LinkedIn, on my Twitter, I have plenty of information about that one, about the ISS space station with the HPE space-borne computer that is being sent over there. So technically, it's an Apollo system together with the ProLiant DL360 that is being sent over. And so now it's doing calculations in the space station. Why? Well, in the space station, they're doing more and more testing, and they're generating more and more data. And until now, they had to send all that data through wireless communication, satellite communication, to the ground stations. Then it was treated in a local data center here, and then they had to send it up back again to the space station. Well, also there, they were limited in bandwidth, but also there's latency, right? And so they said, why do we have to send that data to the Earth, work on that data, and then send it back if we can do it in the space station? And that's what they did. All those data scientists now, they can schedule that spaceborne computer in the ISS space station. They have the data there. They just have to put all their algorithms and scripts on there, and they have, in a much faster, in a more efficient way, they have the results of the data. So that's the edge. And so we have self-driving cars. Oh, we have so many examples of the edge in the industry, oil companies, and so on. We have several examples of the edge. And so this is where HPE has solutions. We even have edge line servers. Yeah. If you don't know this, well, call me. I have one here in my home lab. I can show it to you, and it's on my blog anyway as well. But so we have edge line servers and Apollo servers and high performance computing servers for here and for in the space station. And we have, of course, good old traditional ProLiant servers as well. Where we're gonna enable a system with self-service portal. So there is a portal that's called Greenlake Central. So you, the HPE partner, and the end customer as well, both of you will have access to that self-service portal. And so you can see permanently what is running in your data center, what is being used in your cloud, in your GreenLake cloud experience. Yeah. Because the second thing is there is metering software. Yeah. So it's much more than just ProLiant servers and some VMware on there or some SAP HANA or whatever other Linux applications running on there. No, it's a complete solution. There is also metering software, for instance, in there that gives you that pay-per-use experience. Yes, it's a scalable solution. What does that mean? Oh, you need we did the sizing for 50 VMs. Now don't worry, there is always a buffer. HPE will install more than the resources you need for those 50 VMs. There is a buffer of somewhere around 10% in average that you can run those 55 VMs. Now, of course, if you say I need 75 VMs, no problem. HPE will grow that compute and storage and network and software and licenses layer for you so that you can run those 75 VMs, and you're going to pay for those 75 VMs. So yes, we can have that scale up and scale down for you in there as well. Technically, it's just a change in the contract. It's just a change procedure that you're going to follow, just like with a hyperscaler, with those public cloud providers. Now, the cool thing is that all this is managed for you. Okay? So also there, I must say all the dirty job is all taken care of by HPE. Going to that data center, plugging it in, upgrading the firmware during the weekend, because all this is part of those services as well. Okay, that the software remains up to date, the firmware up to date, that there are no power performance issues, and so on and so on. So it's really a service. You pay for everything. Okay, well, there you go. That's GreenLake. Self-service, pay-per-use, scale up and down, and it's managed for you. And these are the 4 things that people like about the public cloud. Well, there you go. We're going to give you that experience of that public cloud hyperscaler. Well, we're going to give it to you, but it will be under your control because it's running in your data center. So you have full control about the performance, of the applications, the access to it, the security, because these are things where you don't have so much control about in that other data center from that hyperscaler. Because there are things that you need to know about the cloud. The cloud is not perfect. But now, by the way, the cloud is an experience. Hold on. The cloud is an experience. And so it's that experience that you see on this slide, but most of the time, yeah, it's somewhere running in another data center. And unfortunately, this is really bad, but probably you heard something about 2 weeks ago, what happened in France, in Strasbourg, where OVH, which is definitely in France, but also in Europe, very known and very popular. It's one of the biggest cloud providers here in Europe, outside the 3 hyperscalers. But this is what happened. Yeah. with their data center. There was a big fire, and they have 4 data centers on site, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2 burned down completely. One burned down, yeah, just a little bit. But yesterday, for those who follow the media, yesterday they said that, yeah, data center 1, SBG 1, they're not going to power it on anymore because they had too many problems technically to power on that data center as well. It's not because the fire is stopped that they still have plenty of challenges about power, cooling, network connectivity, because honestly, I think it's strange, but data center 3 and 4, they lost power and network connectivity because they were all dependent of data center 1 and 2. And still 2 weeks afterwards, they're still struggling. They still have hundreds of customers who still are down. They don't have access to their data. And that same night, OVH sent out a message to all the customers, please start your DR plans. And this was worrying me a little bit because there were plenty of people, plenty of companies. When I talk about, even with my brother or my mother or my kids or my customers, and I tell them, hey, you're working with the cloud, right? What about backup? The cloud takes care of this, right? I can tell you no. Okay, it's not because you place data in the cloud that they take care of everything. You are responsible for backup. If you're going to read those little letters in the contract, then you will see that you have to make a backup and that you need a disaster recovery and so on. To prove it, when was it? Beginning this week, or last weekend, the CEO of OVH Cloud said, for all our customers from now on, when you take services in our data centers, we're gonna deliver you a backup service for free, which guarantees that before it wasn't for free and you had to take care of it or you had to pay for it. So also think about that. Yeah. When it's in a data center now, I don't say that your data center cannot burn down. So if you go to Greenlake and HP is putting all that gear, hardware, software, services in your server room, yes, it can burn down. I agree. But you are in control. Here, the control is outside your hands. Okay, and that's the whole idea that you have to think about. Yes, so take a look of what's inside that service and who is in control of that service. Okay, now I don't want to worry you too much all about this. What's the benefit? Because you want to know what's the benefit when I go to Greenlake. Well, if I give you an example of what's happening, well, I'm doing this already for more than 25 years that I'm in IT, is that a company calls me, customer calls me, and they says, okay, I need, let's say, most of the time they don't tell me I need 50 VMs, but they say I need 20 terabyte. Okay, or I need that many CPU and memory. Okay, no problem. I can deliver it. Now, hold on. 20 terabyte is now, but of course, I'm going to buy it for the upcoming 5 years. So I want to buy it for 5 years. Okay, so how much growth do you expect? Bart, good question. Honestly, I have no idea. Yeah, because it goes up and down. It's something like this, right? Honestly, I don't know, but do you have averages? Yeah, we have averages, 10%. Yeah, yeah, good idea, 10%. Now, is that per year or over the 5 years? I don't know. It's your data. I don't know. So, okay, 20 terabyte with 10% every year. So let's say 35 terabyte. And so this is what was happening for at least the last 25 years, what I have seen, and probably you will recognize this. So in that white line is a traditional purchase. The customer needs the dotted line, but we have to sell more because the customer doesn't know what he needs or what he wants. So we're going to protect ourselves. And so in a traditional purchase, we're going to sell him not 30, but directly 40 terabyte, let's say. And so you will see over time, the upcoming 1, 2, 3 years, sometimes I've seen already after 1 year that it was full. He was generating a lot of data and he wasn't aware of that. So, but at one moment in time here, we have a problem. And then he will be calling you because then he says, Bart, I have a problem. It's full. Yeah, it's full. It can be, like I said, it can be CPU, memory, storage, networking, whatever. I need more than that I purchased a long time ago. And of course, they don't have the monitoring and the metering. They are not aware about that. And so at that moment here, we have a problem because it's full and he needs more. And so in this sweet spot over there, we have unhappy users. We have unhappy people because they have performance problems, they have stability problems. The outcome is not as expected. Yeah. And so, of course, what you're gonna do then, your salesperson, he's gonna call the customer. Yeah, okay, we will take care of it. We're gonna grow your MSA, your nimble. We're gonna put a new server in there. Hey, tech data, I need a DL380. I need hard disks for in that MSA. I need a new switch. I need licenses. I need plenty of things. And then you know how it goes. It will take a few hours, days, weeks. Yeah, because it's not because you put those disks in an MSA that everything is okay. It takes some time to rebuild that data, to grow your data as well. And then at one moment in time, there you go, we bought more. And then finally, we have a happy customer and we still have here this block between the white line and the dotted line. This is what we call over provisioning. Over provisioning is something that you pay for, but you don't need it. And I challenge you, and I challenge your customers as well. How much do you over provision? Now, I prefer, of course, the least possible, because the more I over provision, I'm paying for something that I don't need, right? And this is what people like about the public cloud. Because the public cloud, pay per use, you only gonna pay for that dotted line, right? And that's why people like the public cloud, those hyperscalers. I only pay for what I'm using. Now, this is where GreenLake will give you the solution. Because what are we gonna do with GreenLake? Well, with GreenLake, there are two things that you need to know. Um, Most of the time, I explain this as well with whiteboarding, but now in this presentation is really well explained. With GreenLake, when we're going to take a look at the price of a GreenLake solution, there are two prices. Okay, there is the commit level. So there is a minimum commitment. So when we're gonna make an agreement with your customer, with your customer, about we go for a GreenLake solution, well, you will see then the first price is the committed price. Okay. Now you can choose that yourself, but that's a fixed price. This is something that you always gonna use. Okay. So that's that white dotted line. For some kind of reason, if that black line goes below the white line, well, at that moment, the customer is paying more than he needs. Yes, so the good thing, the tweaking of this is to find that sweet spot of how much do you always need. So without the fluctuations. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my whiteboarding. So now you should see my whiteboarding. And so this is my customer, and I have two types of customers. Yeah. So this is what I need. Let's say this is a bad example, 20 terabyte. Yeah. And so the ideal customer is that he knows this is what I need. Okay. Now, in reality, most of the time, it will be something like that. Now, a little bit more complicated would be if it would be like that. Because why is that? If we take a look at the pricing of GreenLake, well, there is the minimum committed level. Yeah. That's something that we agree together with the customer. And of course, if it's that customer with the green line at that moment, this could be 80%. Now, if it was the blue line, it would be something like this. Now, the higher the committed level, the commit price, the higher the better. Why? Because that's the cheapest one. HPE knows in advance this is what you need, so that's the cheapest. So the price that you're paying for your CPU, memory, storage, networking services below that white dotted line, the committed line, that's the cheapest, because we're sure you're going to buy this. Okay? Most of the time, well, you can change this. I'm going to show it to you, but most of the time, this is set to 80%. Okay? So by default, the commit level is 80%. Now, at that moment, of course, to cover that space, that's pay per use, because the customer, he only wants to pay for what he's using, right? And so that's this one. Because at this level, he's going above that 80% committed line. And so it's here where we're going to use that pay per, whoops, that's, I have to make this one a little bit smaller with my pen. There you go. So this is pay per use. Yeah. And then most of the time, well, this is the 20%. Yeah, because if you have 80% commit, then you have 20% your flexible buffer. And so this is the, what is it? Green, bluish line. Yeah, so that's the flexible buffer. Now that flexible buffer, watch out, because HPE, what they will do is they're not gonna install. So let's say that that 20 terabyte is then at that moment 100%. Yeah, HPE will install 110% by default. So they will not install 20 terabyte, they will install 22 terabyte. Yeah, and so this is the buffer. It's by default there. So when you see on my slide here, right, you will see that you have that green bluish line, which is not 100, but 110%. Okay, so here beneath, this is what you choose. And this one is technically 30%. By the way, in a minute, I have another slide about that with all these definitions. But that's important to understand, because when we're going to take a look, when we're going to make a sizing, a quote, and know that there is a quick quote tool for GreenLake, it's rather easy to get a pricing for a GreenLake solution. Well, at that moment, you need to know about the commit, about the flex, the pay per use, that's at 20% in my example, but know that there is that buffer by default of 10%. And so now what will happen, because there is metering software with GreenLake Central, which is a really nice portal in the cloud. So you can, you as a sales and a pre-sales and a technical person and your end customer, you have access to that GreenLake Central, and you see that black line, because it's the black dotted line that you are paying for, right? And so you don't pay for everything above that dotted line, even if you can run it, no problem. And so also HPE is checking the needs of that capacity. And so if HPE sees that that black dotted line comes too close to that buffer, at that moment, HPE will grow that buffer. There will be a discussion with the customer. Hey, Mr. Customer, did you see that your black dotted line is going up? At that moment, there is a change in the contract. Okay, but that's proactive. So HPE is not waiting until this situation where the customer doesn't have enough resources anymore. No, HPE is monitoring as well together with you this environment, that we can upscale that environment. And technically how it works, you don't have to worry about that. HPE will only tell you, we see that your required resources are getting closer to our buffer. And so what does that mean? In my whiteboarding, that this is becoming bigger and bigger. So that pay per use, that fluctuation is going bigger and bigger. And so you're paying more and more. So at that moment, what are we going to do? We're going to raise that 80% commit level to something more, right? Maybe that 80% commit in my presentation. So with that 20 terabyte, so that was 16 TB commit that he's paying for. And then that 4 terabyte is just pay per use. Well, at that moment, maybe, Mr. Customer, we're going to grow that 16 terabyte maybe to 20 TB. Price goes a little bit up, but at that moment, my buffer is going up again and my pay per use is going down, right? And so that's the whole idea in this picture, is that HPE will grow the buffer. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the disks and CPU and memory. It's just we're going to grow that commit level from that price to that price. You get more capacity for all your resources, and all the dirty job, growing that MSA, growing that Nimble, adding CPUs, adding servers, adding nodes, maybe. Yeah, HPE takes care of that. Yeah, so it's ease of mind. You pay for that service, the service will be always delivered, thanks to the metering software that you can find in the GreenLake Central portal as well. It's part of the solution. Okay, and so that's the whole idea. So that's the real benefit for your customer, is, Mr. Customer, you see that green zone over there? Well, this is what you are paying for today. And with GreenLake, you're not going to pay for it anymore, because you're only going to pay everything that is underneath that black dotted line. Okay? Well, guys, this is GreenLake. Okay? It's the same ProLiant, it's the same Nimble, it's the same Simplivity in your data center, but there are services that come with it. And there is that pay-per-use flexibility that comes with it as well. Okay? Well, I don't see any questions yet in the Q&A. Probably they will come. But as long as there are no questions, well, we'll move on. Now, anyway, yes, you get a copy of the presentation. Okay, most of the time I get this question: hey, do we get a copy of the presentation? Yes, of course. And afterwards, if you want a demo, if you want a quote, if you want more practically in detail talk about all this, hey, you know where to find me, right? That's my job, and of the team, Danny, Peter, Wim, Steven, the entire team. We will help you to make this more quantifiable as well. But the first thing is, of course, awareness. What is GreenLake and what are the advantages of GreenLake? Well, the advantages of GreenLake is this: that over provisioning, resources that you're buying but that you don't need. Okay, to give you one idea, I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. It's in the slides anyway. So first of all, I just told you deploying that capacity ahead of demand. Nope, we're not gonna do that anymore. HP is doing it with that buffer, but you don't pay for it. You only pay for what you are consuming. And so this is the model that I was talking about. Okay, and there are some terms that you need to know. Yeah, so first of all, the installed capacity is the capacity that is installed on site. And now capacity it's not only terabytes, it's also CPU and memory and so on, right? So it's really the compute and the storage power of the solution to host that data, to support the data and the applications. So as you can see, by default, it's 110%. Okay, that's by default. Then we have the requested capacity. So that's what the customer needs today. So that's 100%. And then we have that buffer capacity. So this is something that you're not paying for, but HP is installing it for you. And then finally, that 100% requested capacity, like I've shown you on the previous slide on my graph on the whiteboarding, is that indeed there is that committed, which is 80% by default. But like I said, if the customer knows that the chainsaw yeah, that is really small. At that moment, you can maybe set it to 90% and 10%. If the customer says, yeah, but I have a chainsaw which is really big like that, well, at that moment, it will be, hold on, yeah. Yes, I just noticed that my presentation is freezed. One moment, please. Let me solve that for you. Is that so? I'm gonna share my screen again. Apparently, this is the proof, guys, that this is live, right? These things happen at live. So let me see, share my screen back again. There you go. I think that now this should be okay again, and that you can see indeed that slide, the Greenlake model back again. Yes, and at least I can see myself move around, so that should be okay. So I was, and otherwise, please let me know in the Q&A, but thank you for letting me know, by the way. So I was saying that that 100% requested capacity, it will be split up between a committed and a variable. And so I was saying as well that depending of your customer, if that customer has that small chainsaw, so if I go back again to my whiteboarding, so if you had that customer with that green line, yeah, you see that green line over there. At that moment, you could go maybe to 90-10 or 80-20. If you have that customer with that blue chainsaw requirement line, yeah, at that moment, it would be better maybe 70-30, right? Because if he would go to 80-20, at that moment, he would be here in this zone and this zone and this zone. He would be over provisioning. He would be paying more than what he actually needs, because that 80% commit rate is maybe too high. So that's something that we need to discuss together with you and your customer. Yeah, so in the pricing, when we're going to make a quote together, you will see that we have to decide between that commit, which is by default 80, and then the variable pricing, that's really the pay per use, which is that 20% by default, and know that there is that buffer capacity. Okay, so these are terms that you need to understand and that you need to explain to your customers as well. Pay as you go, pay as you grow. Okay, and so the term, by the way, a Greenlake contract, by default, it is 3, 4, 5 years, which are the typical terms of conditions of what we see today. I think that today the customers are going for a 5-year term as well. So here it's exactly the same. You can choose between 3, 4, and 5 years. Of course, the longer you go, the cheaper it will be at the end, or the price that you're going to pay for it. By the way, the unit of measurement, that's also an important one. So the unit of measurement is really the pricing that you're going to define to all the units. Okay, so you're going to pay a price per machine, per virtual machine. Yeah. It can be capacity, because you will see in the services from Greenlake, you will see that there is storage as a service, VM as a service, VDI as a service, AI as a service. We're going to see that in a minute, but there are plenty of services available for you. And so it's the workload that will define what you're paying for. So don't expect that you're going to pay for a CPU or a gigahertz or 192 gigabyte of RAM or something like that. No, that's traditional IT. Okay. Also in Spotify, you don't pay per type of music or per song that you play. Or in Netflix also, you don't pay per video that you play. There are other services for that, right? Well, here it's exactly the same thing. It's an all-in-one experience, and you pay per use. And so, like I said, today there are, if I remember well, 17 or 18 workloads. Yeah. You know what? Let's take a look. I'm going to open up my web browser. me just take a quick look that it's working. Nope, not this one. I just need to be able to, there's my Edge browser. There you go. Yes. Okay, so let's go to hpe.com so I can show you how easy it is to find these services. hpe.com website. Here, cloud services, strangely enough, because by the way, if you're gonna take a look at all these banners, probably there will be somewhere Greenlake. There you go, there's Greenlake. Yeah, but anyway, if you go to cloud services, yeah, you will see, I recognize this picture from the edge to the cloud with all the data centers in between, right? Yeah, and there you go. So here are all the Greenlake services available today. And so like I said, the most popular one for us will be compute, storage. VDI is quite popular because today we have to work from home. And virtual machines. So by the way, these are the services that are available worldwide. If we're going to take a look at the services today available for Greenlake in Belgium, you will see that it will be compute, storage, VDI, and virtual machine. The others, it's a matter of time they are coming. Okay, we're just not already showing them on the portal in the Greenlake quick quote tool. But if you want a big data or containers or machine learning, well, no problem. We have a direct contact here in Belgium, Bart de Bot, where we have a direct connection with it. And so it's with him and his team that we dive deeper in all these matters, of course. And so we will be also the interconnect with you, with the HPE Greenlake team here in Belgium. But these are the services. So there you go. Do you see Nimble? Do you see Simplivity? Do you see ProLiant? No, it's as a service. Also with Spotify and Netflix and all those other services, you don't care which servers and which storage is behind it. I just want that my music is running. Office 365, I just need my mailbox. I don't care which IT material is behind it. Yeah, if it's good or not, I pay for that service and that's it. So now, of course, if we'll drill down, for instance, in virtual machines, get the experience, pay only for what you use, easy to configure, easy to consume, blah, blah, blah. I leave it up to you. But now you see here, there are three types of virtual machines. We have general purpose VMs. We have hyper-converged VMs, and we have enterprise-ready VMs. Now, I know technically, because I'm already playing with this quite some time, but I know practically, indeed, these are just the VMs that everyone is using, Windows, Linux VMs, nothing special in here. So you will see that when you click on this one, that there will be a ProLiant solution with probably a Nimble behind it. Why? Remember that pay-per-use, that flexibility. Yeah, so HPE will be installing ProLiant servers with a Nimble solution because a Nimble solution is easier to grow. Remember, we're thinking about growing a solution, of course. So a Nimble is much easier to grow compared to a Nemesis, for instance, right? We also have hyper-converged VMs. And then depending of which hypervisor that you want, it will be probably a choice between Simplivity and Nutanix, but even then, who cares? Because you pay per VM. Remember, here we select VMs, so you don't care if it's a Nutanix or a Simplivity platform because you pay per VM anyway. And then we have enterprise ready VMs. So that's really the big VMs with all the features of a big enterprise behind it. Well, then at that moment, I know that there's a synergy behind it. Yeah. But again, you don't pay for that synergy because you pay per VM, right? Yeah. And then when you click down, for instance, in hyperconverged virtual machines, then you will see, this is, by the way, GreenLake Central. This is the only thing that you will see. You see your services and how much that you need to pay for. And then we have some models. There are performance models, balanced models, cost optimized models. And this is only here where you can see a little bit the bill of material. But even then, now you don't see all the details, how many cables and how many this and how many that. You don't care about that. Yeah. But it's the only place where you can see a little bit of what you get. Now, the coolest thing is when you go into get pricing. Now, guys, don't look too much about the price that you're going to see here, because this is the public website. So this is just to give you an idea. Your pricing will be much better. If you want to know your pricing, well, know that there is a GreenLake quick quote tool for you as an HPE partner. Yeah. On the partner portal in services, sales, you will find GreenLake, and there you can request access to the GreenLake quick quote tool. Or you can do it together with us. Definitely the first time, do it together with us, because I have access to that tool. I attended all the trainings. There is, by the way, a specific training available on the GreenLake quick quote tool as well. It's a 1-hour training. And so you have an idea, but this is just to give you an idea which questions are asked in the quoting tool. Because, by the way, these are the questions that you need to ask to your customers. Well, do you see here questions about how many terabytes and CPU and memory and network connections and licenses and all these kind of things? No. Do you require a choice of the hypervisor? Well, now I know if I say no here, it will be VMware with Simplivity. If I select yes, then it will be Nutanix, because then you have that Nutanix owned Acropolis hypervisor. Number of virtual machines, the minimum is 1, the maximum is 4,000. So let's say here in my example, I want 50 virtual machines. What's the average memory per VM? Well, the minimum is 7, the maximum is 1267. I don't know, 16 gigabyte of RAM. How many CPUs? Okay, the minimum is 4, so I have to select 4 here. And the average storage per VM, in this case, it is 1 terabyte. Okay, 1 terabyte. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller. This is now the absolute minimum. In reality, it will be a little bit bigger. And so now, because I selected here just maybe if I select higher numbers, because now I only get one, I get 2 models. I have a balanced model and I have a cost optimized model. And so you will see the difference is between the memory and the CPU and the capacity of those Simplivity nodes. And now I can play around, because now I can say here yes, and I can fill in back again other numbers. Back again, 16 gig of RAM. With Nutanix, I need minimum 5 vCPUs. And here I have a little bit more flexibility on the storage, but I'm going to keep it the same here. But now you will see that I have now a Nutanix possibility as well, because I selected that hypervisor choice of yes. Okay, so now I can play with it. I select the plan. And so now I'm not there yet. Because now, there you go, here comes the question about the terms 3, 4, or 5 years. And then there you go, the variable usage 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. And remember that 20% variable means now that I have 80% commit. If I set this to 10, then I have a commit of 90. Okay? There are some additional services. For instance, co-location. If the customer doesn't have a data center, HPE can install it in the data center of HPE. DMR, defective media retention. Some other management services. If you click on the pop-up, you will see which services are in there. So you can add some services in here as well. And then you're going to click add workload. And so now you can add multiple workloads, because most of the time the customer wants more than just virtual machines. Maybe he wants something else as well. But at the end, what you do, you're going to click on get price. And then there are the final questions in here about what's your current utilization. Yeah. So what's the future growth, what's the time to market, how fast do you want this solution, and what's the monetized business impact of those workloads, right? High means that if I lose my environment, my company went bankrupt, or yes or no. So there are some business questions. And then finally, important one is, how often do you buy? What does that mean? For that, I need to go back to my presentation. How often do you buy is, how often do you want to grow this line up? Yeah. So how many times do you want to send in that change request? Okay. Because that's the thing that you're gonna set here. If you set it to monthly, then you need more flexibility, but it will have an impact on the price. Then you just fill in your name, company name, email address, phone number, and then you click submit price or send price. And then within minutes, you get a, hold on guys, an average price, because this is the public website. Of course, in reality, this is the end customer price. Of course, you as an HPE partner, you will get better prices, definitely, because you can, of course, that's the whole idea. You're going to see this in the presentation now. The whole idea is that you make money out of this, right? And so that you can also put more information in here, like for instance, your percentage, your upscale that you want to put in here as well. Okay, so but for that, maybe if we still have the time, oh, it's 11:07 already. But anyway, this is something that I will do with you when we go to the Greenlake quick quote tool on the partner portal. Okay, so there you go. That's the most important. I can keep on talking for hours about Greenlake, of course, but this is what you need to know. So we have those workloads delivered as a service, okay? And what you're gonna get as a customer, so what's in it for you and the customer? Well, one, I put on purpose this picture in here because too much people think, yeah, Greenlake is a service that is a ProLiant and a nimble and you're gonna pay for it per month. This is completely wrong, guys. Yeah, it's true. There is a nimble, there is a Simplivity, there is a ProLiant, there is hardware, but know that there is software. So if you want the VMware licensing there, no problem. If the customer has VMware licenses, he can keep on using them. But anyway, it's Greenlake is hardware, software. There are services. So by default, HPE is delivering those services. Now you see this little asterisk. It is possible that you as an HPE partner maybe can deliver some services. For instance, the installation service is done by HPE, but the afterwards management services maybe are done by you. So you can choose that. This is in the discussion with the HPE Greenlake team, what's in there as well. And then finally, very important, don't forget also the billing metrics. So also HPE is putting that metering software in the solution as well. Hold on. Of course, I have to set it to presentation mode. So there you go. So I said it is hardware, it is software, the services are in there, and take a look there. There are plenty of services in there: consumption services, installation services, design migration services, support services, next business day, 24/7, proactive care, whatever. All these things that you might expect from HPE services are in there. And then you have Greenlake Central with that consumption analytics portal. So you, any end customer, can see what that customer is actually using. Now, an important one, of course, is what are typical customers for HPE Greenlake? Okay, well, definitely, hold on, I'm going to go back to my whiteboarding and hold on here. Yep, if you have a customer that has a requirement like this, sorry, doesn't work like that. This is not Greenlake. If you have a customer that is growing, that is Greenlake. Okay, so of course we want a customer that has expectations of growth, at least 10% or more growth year over year. He needs on-premises capacity for full control on performance, on security, on audits, on everything. Well, at that moment, we're going to give you that cloud experience, pay-per-use, everything you want, but on premises. A customer that doesn't know that he needs, and he needs more accurate forecasting of IT demand because he's out of control of his IT cost and he wants a better insight on IT demand. Well, at that moment as well, with GreenLake Central, you have full control. You can see who is consuming what, and so it's much easier to do cross-charging as well. Okay, too often I see today, IT costs, let's say 100, and I have 100 users, so that means that every user needs to pay 1. While in reality, you have power users and you have really task users, and I need just a few gigabytes, and that guy over there is using terabytes, and I have to pay the same. That's not fair, right? So here really you have a full insight of who is using which resources. Yeah, you are in control, and that's the ideal customer for GreenLake. Then of course we have customers that are not so ideal for GreenLake, so where a traditional IT would be a better fit. Well, that's the customer that really says, okay, in that MSA I need an additional hard drive for the lowest price. It's a customer that calls you to say, yeah, I need 5 terabyte, or I need 20 gigabyte of RAM more, who is really focused on price per unit, limited or no growth. Now, this one here, don't focus too much about it, because initially HPE Greenlake was indeed for hardware purchases of 300K and beyond. Now, this is in the US. Know that today, and also here we can give you all this information. When we go to the Greenlake Quick Quote portal, you will see that there is a specific program for Belgium and for Europe, for the not so big countries, that today we start already at 50K. Okay, so there's a program called Swift. So it's the HPE Greenlake Swift program. There's also somewhere a slide in the presentation where we have deals. And by the way, in Belgium, there are already Greenlake deals from 50K on. There's even one below 50K because it was possible. It was really the ideal customer for that use case. But today it starts at 50K price list for the hardware of the solution. And believe me, if you have 3-4 Simplivity nodes, or if you have a few ProLiant servers with a Nimble, you are already there. So you are eligible with GreenLake, where the customer will pay per use. Okay, if it's a customer with 1 MSA and 2 ProLiant servers, forget it. Will stay in the traditional IT. Also, a customer that has no interest in support services at all. The company that says, I'll do everything myself. And if there's that fire, I will be the firefighter and I will rebuild everything. And I will go, I don't know where, call the partner to tell what I need. Well, those cowboys, okay, no problem. Stay in traditional IT, because they definitely don't see the value of a service, an installation, a management, a support service. Okay, so there you go. So there are some examples, by the way. You get a complete the slide deck in here, but these are some examples that I put in here. So we have for Belgium, we have compute and storage as a service, and so it depends if it's general or optimized or business critical workloads. And then you will see that there are some differences between the models that we are delivering. Okay, in storage and in compute, it's just the size and the speed of the storage, up to 26 servers. That's not bad. I like to have a lot of customers who have up to 26 physical servers. But there you go. So this is where we can help you with the GreenLake Swift program. And so this is how it looks like. Now, don't focus on these prices because you don't see all the parameters behind it. But just to give you an idea, when we do a sizing, when we make a quote together, so you will see the price per unit, yeah, and the fixed price. Okay, so you have that reserved resources monthly price, so that's the fixed price, and then on top of that you pay per use. So this is the 80% and this is the 20%, because you see here at the bottom the 20% variable use. And so at that moment, this is the number of units, because you pay per unit. In this case, this is a storage example, so here you pay per gigabyte. When we go for the compute, it's a cost optimized. You get a price per month and you get a price variable per server in a term of 4 years. But like I said, this is just an example because you don't see all the details behind it. But this is what you get, Mr. Customer. To run this workload, this is your fixed price. This is your variable price depending on what you need. And so the customer knows by default, this is the price that he will pay. Everything included in full control. Okay, and if he needs more, of course, it is a scalable solution. HPE will grow that nimble, will grow those ProLiant servers, will add more ProLiant servers in there. Okay, and so there you go. It's all about the outcome. It's all about the value. Okay, what do we see? And by the way, these are real numbers that we found out already. Okay, about the simplification, about the time to market, so HPE can scale much faster as well to deliver those services for you. Now, the most important, what's in it for you, of course, you as an HPE partner. Well, what do we see? Because GreenLake is nothing new. Technically, it exists already for more than 10 years. It only had another name, Flex Capacity. It started in Holland with a hospital 10 years ago, a TripR as a service. The customer was only paying that TripR per terabyte. And so it expanded. And now with the metering software, it really became a professional product. But what do we see? With all the GreenLake customers already, that we have a 99% retention rate. That's a value, right? That's an advantage. Why? Once they are in GreenLake, it will be much easier that they will call you and not to the competition. Now you are blocking out competition, right? There are no more competitive bidding anymore because they just have to call you. Hey, Mr. Partner, I need more CPU. I need more capacity. I need a new workload. Imagine that customer says, I start now with compute and storage, but now I need VDI. No problem. Add workload, VDI. How many remote users do you need? Click, there you go. This is your price. HPE will add all the resources that you need. And he's happy. So we have a high retention rate that after 3, 4, 5 years, that he will call you back. Hey, I am happy about this service. I want more. And the advantage, of course, is you have a very good percentage. Let it be clear that the percentage that you win is much higher compared to traditional IT deals that you close. Okay, you're quite sure that the deal, that number is going up. I'm not going to say anything about Netflix and Spotify, but I started Spotify with $5.99, then $7.99, and now it's $9.99, and Netflix is already $11.99, and it's going up, and everything is becoming more expensive. But I like that service, so I'll pay a little bit more for it. Actually, I don't use it more than that, so that's not really pay-per-use. I have to think about that. But anyway, here, those customers, we selected those customers for growth. It's not going down, it's going up. So you know that after time, you will get more money as well. You don't have to do anything for it. The only thing that you have to do is just customer relationship. Call that customer. Is everything okay? You need more? By the way, in GreenLake Central, I see that you need more. Let's talk about it. And like I said, no competition there anymore, because probably they will call you anyway. Once that you are in that service, you won't change that quickly anyway. How many customers who went to Azure changed afterwards to Amazon? Or those customers who went to Amazon after 1 year, they changed to Google. Now, once they are in there, they stay there because they're happy. Yeah, well, here it's that experience that you're gonna give. Okay, so what's in it for you? For the partner, you are in control. You own the relationship with the customer and you lead the end-to-end process. We, distributor, we will have a part in the discussion about the bill of material and the sizing and so on. And HPE will have a part of it as well. But you are in the lead. You own this deal completely. Economics, you will get rebate, and take a look at those numbers. Those numbers are much higher than with traditional IT deals. And like I said, we're talking with customers who are growing. And so we're going to build as well that recurring revenue. Okay. When initially on that minimum commit value, yeah, this is where you're going to win already. Then ongoing, every month, we're going to follow up. Do we need to grow? Yes or no? And so on. Also there, every month, you're going to win. And then, like I said, every time we go up, that's a change order. So also in the change order, when that customer calls you to say, hey, I need more VMs, I need more capacity, I need more VDI, maybe I need a database, I need artificial intelligence and machine learning. Every workload that we're going to add, it's a change. And on every change, you're going to win as a partner as well. But you're delivering services. You're not delivering components. You're delivering a solution. And so the experience, so this is GreenLake Central. I just put some screenshots in there to give you an idea of how it looks like. So financial persons, so the CFO, how much am I spending? Mr. Customer, it's in there in GreenLake Central. I'm the legal guy. Is my business at risk? No problem. We will show you there is a dashboard for risk management. IT operations. When do I need more capacity? Do I have enough resources? You can see everything in there. And also the developers with the applications. I need to deploy an application. I need to upgrade an application. I need containers. I need whatever, something. Everything is in there. And the CIO or the boss of the company, he's just supervising all the dashboards are in there. And also this is part of the GreenLake solution. These are all services, all things that you don't have, all views that you don't have with a traditional IT solution, right? Well, guys, that's it, because if we take a look now in the presentation, I have put, oh yeah, there you go. I mentioned GreenLake Swift. Okay, the good old GreenLake, the big GreenLake. That's what we were talking about, the bigger deal sizes. And so now specifically here in Belgium and in Europe, so we have pre-configured bundles. So these are reference models with today, it will change over time, but today very popular DL servers with nimble storage. Okay, why? Because there we can really easily, flexibly play on that growth as well. So the pricing is available in quick quote. We can do that together. So send me an email, call me afterwards. Phone numbers will be at the end of the presentation anyway. And so we're going to take a look, how does it look like? And so, like I said, a very important one is all the services that are in there. Well, it depends, of course, of which program that you take, but know that there are a lot of services that can be delivered by HPE within GreenLake, or it's, of course, a service that you can deliver as well, of course, right? And so now these are screenshots. Just to give you an idea, this is what I prefer to do live together with you, with a specific use case, with the customer that you have in mind. But so today, when you go to that quick quote tool, you need to request access in the partner portal. For that, and then you can select here compute as a service, storage as a service. By the way, in Belgium there's a circle here, Swift program, and then in the Swift program you have those pre-configured models with nimble and DL servers. So you have to request access here, and then you have to select the workload. Then you fill in all the requirements, how many VMs, memory, CPU, storage per VM. Then you select a plan, because depending of what you entered on the previous screen, you can have multiple plans. You can add additional services, add-ons if you want. And now here you see this partner uplift. So you can have here your own partner uplift that will be set in here as well. 8, 9, 10, 20, 50%. I don't care. That's your uplift, of course. But it will be more than with a traditional IT environment. And then what's the outcome for you when you click finish? You will get your pricing, but that's the cool thing. So you will get here a Word file, a PDF, a presentation, a PPT file, a statement of work in a Word as well. So what you can do is you just go in that file, you add, you copy paste the logo of your company, and you have a personalized offer that you can give to your customer, that you can discuss with your customer, with the PowerPoint presentation as well to present it to your customer. Right. So also there, it's really easy to create this quote and have this discussion with the customer and close the deal. So the sales time, I've seen already a few weeks, just 2-3 weeks, and the deal was closed, and HP started with installing the environment. Okay. Because like I said, the outputs, we have plenty of documents, we have presentations, we have a file to work with the channel, with us, with that statement of work, who does what, when. Well, all those files are already available. Okay, and so that's the whole idea to finish this presentation. Yeah, so like I said, GreenLake is not new with flex capacity. It exists already for more than 10 years. Customer satisfaction today within GreenLake is very high. People love it. They stay in it. The service is already available in more than 80 countries. And by the way, Antonio mentioned 2022. He still has a year. GreenLake is not finished. There's more and more services being added as well. And so there you go. There are plenty of partners, there are plenty of solutions. So just tell what the customer needs and we can put it in there. So it's not only HPE. So there are a lot of partnerships. So it's really cross-vendor technology that can be inside that GreenLake solution. And this is recently added. So also if the customer says, I don't have a data center, well, there is that partnership with Equinix and Series 1 to do, for instance, co-location as well, because HPE has all those partnerships available. Okay, so there you go. I still have 2 minutes. Don't worry, I will stay online here for all your questions that you might have. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that you have a good idea now of what is GreenLake and what is the outcome of a GreenLake solution. If you have more questions, if you want a practical calculation together with one of your use cases, customers that you're working now, well, email address, there's our phone number. Yeah, most of you have my direct number as well. You know where to find me. And we'll sit together now virtually, I hope one day physically in real life again. And so that we take a look together at that quoting tool and to see if there is a fit with some of your customers who would like that GreenLake cloud that comes to you experience. Okay, so I'm gonna open up questions, and of course, probably you got the invitation already, but know that we have plenty of other sessions coming. So next week there's a Simplivity update session. Very important session because there's a lot of new information about Simplivity. It will be a fully packed session. The week after, nope, not the week after, because then it's Eastern holiday. So just after Eastern holiday in April, we have a storage update session. Also there, plenty of new information. And then also the week after, the end of April, we have an Aruba update session about Aruba hardware and software updates. And then finally also a very important session about HPE tools. So everything from HPE, but not about products, but the tools to make your life easier, to talk with us and to talk with HPE. So I'm thinking about all the OCAs and the partner portals and the Snap portals and so on and so on. So we're going to organize there an update session about the tools as well. That one will be definitely very interactive. Okay, if there are questions, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you very much. Have a great day. Stay safe for sure. And yeah, we'll stay in touch. Thank you for being here. See you next time in one of the upcoming sessions. Bye-bye. I see a question coming in. Good question. Who will be installing and configuring the hardware at the customer premises? Will this be something that us partners will be able to do, or will this be for HPE Pointnext services? So now by default, HPE Pointnext services will do this by default. Now, of course, Pointnext services is a service company, and you as an HPE partner, you can make an agreement with HPE Pointnext that you will be delivering those services in name of Pointnext. Okay, so technically it's possible that you will do this in name of Pointnext because it's of course a GreenLake solution, but it is possible, but this is a negotiation with the team from Pointnext, of course, because for that you need a certain qualifications. Hardware installation is quite easy, but afterwards you have the software installation. And remember, it's not only VMware. Yeah, there's also that metering software, the integration with the GreenLake Central. So most of the time it is a partnership, it's a co-partnership between the HPE partner and Pointnext services. Okay, but there is flexibility. Or for instance, the hardware and software installation is done by Pointnext, but then the operational management services afterwards are done by you, for instance. So this is all. It's also like with Office 365. Hey, but I'm an expert in Exchange. You know what? I'll do the updates of Exchange. Or in Spotify, hey, I have some music. Can I upload it, or can I make a backup, and so that the contract becomes cheaper? Yeah, not really. It's a service. Remember. Now, anyway, you are an HP partner, so you can negotiate with Pointnext to deliver some services, of course, in their name. But that's today technically possible as well. There are already HPE partners today who are delivering services for Pointnext. For instance, hardware repair on site to swap out drives or motherboards, whatever. So when you are a certified partner to deliver those services, then yes, you can do this. Okay, if you want practical details about that, well, we can organize a session. It's together with Bart de Bot. So Bart de Bot from HPE is our contact person, where we can dive deeper in these practical manners. Okay. I hope that was an answer to your question. If there are more questions, please let me know in the Q&A.